always want to focus a good portion of our show on the work the ACLJ attorneys are doing. And right now, Christy Campagnani is joining us live from Las Vegas. Again, a trip I said, I wish I got invited to that one. Live from Las Vegas. A big update going on. I would love for you to kind of give us a breakdown for those that maybe haven't been watching this show, or maybe they're new. We know thousands of you have just joined our YouTube channel, well over 400,000 now. So people may not be familiar with this case, but we've been involved in this one for a while, and it involves really a parent who was dealing with the fact that her child, a student at the school, was being forced to read something that was so incredibly vulgar and inappropriate that she thought legal action should take place. We got involved with the ACLJ. Why don't you take it from there?
Yep. So we are representing our client who just has turned 18, but at the time this instance happened, she was only 15 in a theater class here in Las Vegas. And the theater teacher had everybody write monologues and then put them all out on the floor and told the other classmates to go and pick up the other individuals' monologues, and they only get to switch out once. So our client picked up her first one. She didn't like it because it was coming from a boy's point of view or something. And so she put it back, and then there was only one left on the floor, and she picked that up, and it was this obscene monologue that went into, sexual content and innuendos and used curse words. And she didn't feel comfortable, but the teacher had already told everyone, hey, you can't switch more than once. And it was the last monologue on the ground, so there was nothing to switch to. So she went ahead and actually performed it on a day when the rest of the class wasn't performing. And it turns out a few months later, her mom found the monologue in her school folder and asked the school, what in the world, how are you having my child read this? And they responded with, sorry, this is the art school. This is what we do. This was part of the core curriculum. And they completely ignored everything that the mom was concerned about. So she then took it to the school board meeting where they turned off her mic while she was reading the monologue to the school board to show them how obscene the monologue was. And they told her, you can't use this kind of language in the board meeting.
When you see the clip, they go, oh, ma'am, we won't use that kind of language here. And then she does respond very strongly with, well, if you thought it made you uncomfortable, how do you think it would have made my child? And then the ACLJ had to get involved.
Absolutely. So we've been in here for a while. We've survived the motion to dismiss with several of our claims. So that means we now got into discovery. So we're here in Las Vegas doing depositions. We're defending our client this morning from the defense counsel. But then we've also had key personnel from the school district that we're deposing and several students. So we're starting to formulate our trial strategy through their answers. And I think you could say that there's actually a pattern emerging from these depositions, that this wasn't just an isolated event. The curriculum has included other inappropriate content for high school classes.
And that's the question I have for you is, as you look at this for our audience, you say you're in the discovery phase, you're taking depositions. What does that mean in layman's terms for those that are watching about what the ACLJ are actually doing in Las Vegas this week?
Absolutely. So both our attorneys and the defense attorneys are in a room interviewing the potential witnesses for trial. So it's like a discovery to figure out what will happen during the trial. What will these individuals say? And it is on the record. So they have a duty to tell the truth. And then we will be able to have a transcript so that if we go into trial and they say something different, we can say, well, hold on, you said this during the deposition. Now you are lying. And so it is a tool that we use to better defend. And it's also to actually be, on the offensive. And it's also a tool to defend when something comes up that is wrong or inaccurate. And it helps us to formulate our whole strategy going into a trial.
And again, without your support of the ACLJ, without you coming in, making that donation, again, I'm encouraging you right now, halfway through the month of June, we're a little bit down. We could really use your support. Go to aclj.org. When you hear this, know that the ACLJ is there for parents like this, who aren't going to probably want to go seek out legal help and get charged for it, some enormous legal fees. That's not what we do here. With the individual support from all of you, whether you're an ACLJ champion, that's someone who gives on a monthly recurring basis, or you decide just to give a one-time donation, that alone is what keeps this free for people like this parent. Take a look.
This will be horrifying for me to read to you, but that will give you perspective on how she must have felt when her teacher required her to memorize this and to act it out in front of her entire class. I don't love you. It's not you. It's just, I don't like your dick. or any in that case. I cheated, Joe.
I'm sorry.
This is propaganda that
Forgive
they're
me.
going to put
Excuse me. I don't. Thank you so much for your. Thank you for your comment. Forgive me. We're not using profanity. Simply, this is a public meeting. I asked for decorum.
If you don't want me to read it to you, what was that like for my 15-year-old daughter to have to memorize?
It was almost as if we couldn't have, written it better.
Right.
Like, it doesn't feel real when you watch it. When you hear the person say, "I'm sorry, we don't use profanity here," and you realize this is what's going on in your public school system. This is what's happening to students around the country. The ACLJ gets involved. You're doing these depositions now, Christy. What comes next for those people who want to keep focusing and following this case? When's trial happen? If that does happen, what does this look like timeline-wise, and what's next for you and your team?
So we still have another round called summary judgment motions. And so what that means is we take all of the evidence that we've compiled through this discovery, and then we go to briefing. And so the defense counsel will argue, look, we've gone through all of the evidence and there's nothing here. These claims are baseless and the court should dismiss this case. Where we'll come and argue, look at all of the evidence proving that there was no pedagogical interest in this monologue, that she was forced to speak against her First Amendment rights, and that, there's enough compelling witnesses that will take the stand that we are definitely going to win in trial. And then it goes through, it could take several months. I mean, I've seen one take up to 9 months where the court sits on it to make that decision. But in the meantime, while the court is making the decision on the summary judgment, we will start continuing to prepare for trial. So the trial more than likely will be sometime in 2025.
And remember, the student was 15 years old when this started, when this incident took place. She is 18 years old now, just turned 18. And the ACLJ is fighting potentially into 2025 and hopefully to win a victory for this student and for her family. But imagine the legal bill if you are trying to fight a case out from a 15-year-old, now 18, into another year. If it weren't for the work of the ACLJ and our hardworking attorneys like Christy and her team that are out in Las Vegas, because we do this at no cost to the family because of the members of the ACLJ.
Obviously, the impact is well beyond this family. We've got 2 minutes here, Christy. Well beyond the family, because some people may go, well, she's 18 now. What does it matter? This is an adult. The impact of these lawsuits, these cases, really reach everyone.
Absolutely. I mean, this will protect the future generations coming into this school and other schools within this circuit, even depending on how this goes in court. So I know that our client has really suffered for several years, and she's just wanting justice at this point, and her mom's going to continue to fight to the end for that.
All right. Thank you so much. That, again, is Christy Campagnane, one of our incredible ACLJ attorneys, who, again, because of you, because of your support, we're able to afford, send them to Las Vegas, send them to be able to do this for weeks on end, years on end, to make sure your voice, your point of view is heard around the world. Thank you, Christy, for joining us.